Good afternoon, everybody. We are having with us Dr. Sitaraman, Doha Bank CEO. Dr. Sitaraman, how are you today?
Very good, thank you.
Dr. Sitaraman, we have been watching very closely everything that is going on in the G20 this weekend, the last weekend in St. Petersburg in Russia. Why is so important this meeting, this summit for the corporate community? Or in other words, what is the role of the G20 in the corporate community?
Very important role. See, the world is inclusive. Emerging markets, developed economies, they all have to come together to make sure that we have sustainability in the global growth. That's the very purpose. That is precisely the reason G7 has become G8, G8 has become G20. If you look at the components, 19 countries, or major countries like United States, UK, France, Germany, Italy, again, Saudi Arabia, New Mexico, Brazil, Russia, India, China, etc. All these countries are there. The 20th member is European Union. That comes in rotation. The G20 is also represented by IMF, World Bank, and again, Development Monetary Committee, and to make sure that overall global structural issues, and again, fiscal issues, monetary policy, all these are regularly reviewed and see how this is going to create a global balance, how global growth is going to be created. That's the very purpose of G20, and it has been going on well. Now, Pittsburgh was the latest one. It has achieved some objectives, not fully. Syria was dominating in the whole frame. And again, fiscal consolidation, currency depreciation in the emerging markets were some of the major issues discussed in real substance.
You just mentioned the representation of IMF to this summit. What has been the contribution of the IMF for this summit?
IMF has been warning clearly that emerging markets are now slowing down, and they are also removed the word. Emerging markets are the driving force for the economic engine. They are now, advanced economies are taking the front end. But at the same time, they have been warning clearly certain facts like the accommodative monetary policy, which has inflated the liquidity and also inflated the financial markets, including stocks, has to be moderated. Oh, it's all right as long as you have abnormal situations to recover. You have taken beyond normalcy, but you have to temper it. At some point of time, you have to bring back the normalcy once you achieve the global growth. That's one major mention. Second, they also clearly warn a definite policy for fiscal consolidation. And again, apart from excessive monetary policy, which has been accepted by some of the developed world, emerging markets also should intervene in the markets to protect their overall measurement mechanism, monitoring mechanism, to have price stability as well as the overall purchasing power parity. So they have enforced the cautions in abundance for both for developed world and developing world.
It has been also discussed, you mentioned the emerging countries, the emerging markets. What about the fund rescue that they were discussing for the BRICS? Apparently it looks a little bit unclear. What is the structure of the fund? What is going to be the budget of the fund? Do you have a better understanding of these developments?
Absolutely. See, the BRIC countries have to now clearly envisage a rescue fund. The reason why they have to do it, look at the currency depreciation we have seen after US started signaling they will be tempering the quantitative easing. We have seen the world financial markets are in turmoil, and again, currency depreciation is, except China, the rest of the countries have taken big beatings. It's Brazil, again, Russia, India, Indonesia, Thai baht. All these currencies have taken nosediving. Again, dollar is strengthening, rest of the currencies are weakening in double digits. That's not good. That's why they want to set up a rescue fund, 100 billion. 41 billion will come from China. And again, 18 billion will come from Brazil, Russia, and India. And 5 billion will come from South Africa. That's the scale at which they have fixed it. But they're going to work in close coordination with IMF. There has to be definite the conditions precedent for rescuing any country or any currency.
And they add anything else on the currency side?
They did. See, the bigger picture is competitive devaluation should be discouraged. What we have seen is currency depreciation and the capital market volatility. Once the currency start depreciating, the investors, international community, will hedge fund holders or private equity, where they saw the trend, they want to disinvest as silly as possible, and that is, taking a huge imbalance in the balance of payments. And also clearly, the reflection on the stock market is huge. We have seen billions of dollars have been wiped out in no time. That's not what IMF wants. We also need, this is done simply because abnormal accommodative monetary policy. It is clearly the reflection of the currency deceleration. Once you stop bond buying program from the United States, then it will have a very big impact. So that's why it has to be gradually tempered. It has to be linked with the overall economic momentum, whether it's unemployment or overall purchasing power parity or consumer price inflation. All these factors need to be measured before you're tempering. That's the tapering, if you have to use the word. Both are intertwined. That's the way we have to monetize the whole frame. Otherwise, you will have major mishap in the overall global growth.
So what have been the latest development or highlights on the fiscal sustainability, which is very important? It was a key point in this summit.
Fiscal consolidation, every country has to go through. See, if you look at one factor is the gross debt to GDP, how much they should accommodate, and how they're going to have fiscal consolidation. How they're going to, do they have short, medium, and long-term strategy? What is the permissible limits? What is the overall deficit in current account as well as fiscal side will be reflecting, and what impact it will have into the overall the financial markets. These needs to be measured, and we have seen the reflection in United States. We have also seen a drawn-out policy for Europe, and Europe is also said to be recovering. We have seen signs of improvements, and again, emerging markets also should sit in fiscal consolidation as a structured drive. Structural reforms have to come in to make sure fiscal consolidation comes in and current account deficit is minimized.
So to finish in general terms, what have been the biggest highlights in terms of global economy?
The global economy today reeling under pressure. Still, definitely advanced economies have to do a lot to have fiscal consolidation, and monetary policy needs to be normalized over the period of time. These are the challenges we have. As far as the advanced economies are concerned, they have to, develop the real growth, reduce the unemployment, ensuring purchasing power goes in track. And that's the reflection we are seeing. Emerging markets now have to, again, keep the momentum going to have the overall economic engines. That's the kind of, economic outlook we see in real substance as decided by the IMF and the G20 inclusive.
Dr. Silverman, thank you very much for being with us.